Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 12 and compare it against the iPhone 13 mini and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, both these phones are very interesting. I like both these phones a lot, but I will definitely tell you, it's an interesting, comparison because we're comparing the big phone of the year previous to the smaller, better phone to the year after, and they're roughly around the same price. They're really not that difference in price right now. So let's go and see which one's the better one for you. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside, the iPhone 12, which came out in 2020, on the front of it has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And it's a good panel. I felt like it was a good panel when it first came out. It still is a pretty good panel. It gets fairly bright. You have pretty decent viewing angles. And like I said, there's really not a lot to complain about here. You have the notch up top, which is still, very nice to have, I guess, if you're into it. You have pretty flat sides across it. It's a good panel, and I like the way that they pretty much changed the design of it from the year previous. So with the iPhone 11, it had a different type of design. This one looked much better. And for the iPhone 12 being a 4-year-old phone almost this year, it definitely doesn't feel like that old of a phone. Like, I still feel like it holds up fairly well in a lot of different ways. With the iPhone 13 mini, this particular phone has a 5.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So it pretty much, I don't think it is that much better of a phone panel than the iPhone 12, to be honest. It does get fairly bright. Maybe it gets brighter on this panel, but it's almost the same thing. And once again, there's really not a lot to complain about here with this particular phone either. Like, I feel like Apple did a good job with it. And for the most part, if I'm going to go ahead and buy some sort of device, this thing is fairly good. It is a smaller phone overall than the iPhone 12, so that's like the number one thing to keep in mind. You are getting a smaller notch up top though. But beyond that, it's a very good looking phone, and I do think it's a good device when it comes down to it. So that right there gets a thumbs up for me for sure. Now for the rest of the bodies, you can kind of see that these two phones are very interesting nonetheless. So you can see that the thinness and thickness between both is very interesting. You can see that you have the volume buttons right there. You have the ringer on off switch at the very top as well. Then you have your standard, nothing really else going on at the very top. You do have your SIM card tray on the sides right here, so you can kind of see what's going on right here. And then at the very bottom, you have your lightning ports, which is great. No USB-C or anything like that, but it's still perfectly fine. And you're also getting your speaker grill. Funny enough, you are getting a little bit smaller speaker grill on the side. Now, at the back side, you can see we basically have our dual camera setups on the back side as well. So we have the wide angle lens and we have the ultra wide camera as well, which is really nice. We have our other sensors too, which is really, really cool. And then we also have our MagSafe, charging capability, which is really awesome. And I do think overall, it's a very good type of, feeling phone on both of them. So that's something I like a lot. Like, if I'm going to go and pick up one, I like the fact that both of them feel the same almost. I do actually like the diagonal camera setup on the iPhone 13 mini. It's kind of funny. But beyond that, I would tell you, like, both phones, I will say, without a doubt, are very, very good. They're both very good. They both feel very premium. And like I said, there's just not a lot to complain about here between either one. But I would say if I'm going to pick up one, I do like the size of the iPhone 12. The iPhone 13 would be better, but because it's these two phones, the size of the iPhone 12 is better for me, but the 13 mini might be better for you. Now, in terms of software and longevity, this is probably going to be one of the bigger problems, for the iPhone 12. Right now on iOS 17, the iPhone 12 got almost all the features within iOS 18, within iOS 17, which I was very happy about. The problem is with iOS 18, the iPhone 12 might get somewhat of a limited version of software on this particular phone. So that might be kind of a disadvantage. Like, if you're going to go ahead and buy something like the iPhone 12, well, that might be a disadvantage for some people because you might be getting some, like, sort of a limited version of software. So that might be something to keep in mind. The 13 mini is kind of the opposite. Like, you're going to be getting a better phone, I would say, from a software longevity standpoint. But keep in mind that if you're wanting the phone that's going to last longer, the 13 mini is going to be the one for you. So let's go and do a speed comparison now. The iPhone 13 mini has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Where the iPhone 12 has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigs of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you all can tell. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Music, 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of an interesting layout there too. I don't know why it looks so disangled in my camera. Hopping out of this one, it's going to App Store, 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. I actually don't know which one's faster yet. I'm like barely paying attention. You can see right here that they're scrolling through. There's not a lot of crazy differences here. Hopping out of both of these. Let's get into photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the 12 so far has been faster, I think. Camera 3, 2, 1. Let's take a photo 3, 2, 1. So both are on this night mode type of option. And the 13 mini I think was slightly faster than the iPhone 12 right there. So kind of a small thing to keep in mind. Hopping out of these two, let's get into news 3, 2, 1. And you can see right here, okay, both were slightly different right there. Let's get into settings 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Hopping out of both of these, let's get into some other ones. Let's get into tempo run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the 13 mini did end up becoming a little bit faster here than the iPhone 12. So just another thing going on here. You can see the 13 mini already into it, the 12 a little bit slower, but definitely something really cool going on for this particular device. Clicking on play, let's see if there's a big difference here, which I really doubt. That's kind of another interesting thing going on here too. Hopping out of these two, let's get into another one. I mean, I don't even know what other ones we have here. Let's do snake versus blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference here. They're going to be roughly around the same thing. And you can see right here, basically the same thing going on. It's going into thank you, 3, 2, 1. And you can see right here, basically almost the same thing going on as well. Hopping out of these two, it's going to stack 3, 2, 1. And you can see right here again, pretty much the same thing. So I will definitely tell you when it comes down to both these phones, very good feeling, very good performing devices nonetheless. I think at the end of the day, they're very good. I don't know if there's like one phone that's like significantly better than the other one, but I would probably say like if I'm going to go ahead and pick up one, maybe the 13 mini should be faster, but I don't really think it's that much faster when it comes down to it. So from that perspective alone, that kind of covers it up there. Now from a camera side, like I said, both have dual camera setups. So you are getting a wide and ultra wide camera on both. So very good, sensors. I think the 13 minis is actually bigger than the iPhone 12s, but you are getting things like 4K 60 on the front and the back of both these, which is very nice touch. And I think that in and of itself is a very, very cool type of camera lens to have. Now with something like the iPhone 12, I do think this is a pretty good sensor. I think overall it's not terrible. So you're getting things like 0.5x zoom here, which is like pretty normal for a lot of devices. Getting 5x zoom, which really isn't that great, and that can be kind of a problem for some people, I think, in my opinion. Now you are getting things like video mode, slow mode, and time lapse, which is nice to have, and then you're getting like panel mode and all that other stuff. So it's not really that big of a difference here, and I do think for the most part, like it's not that bad of a camera sensor on the iPhone 12. The 13 mini's camera is better though. Like I do think if I'm going to go and pick up some sort of camera, this thing definitely is the better one, I think, which is very, very cool. So this is the camera lens I think is actually very nice at the end of the day, which is really cool. Now this thing you are getting 0.5x zoom here, and then you are getting 5x zoom here too, which is very cool. You're getting video mode, cinematic mode. Cinematic mode is a cool feature because you are getting that on the 13 mini. You are not getting that on other iPhones. So keep that in mind on the other iPhones before this. Cinematic mode is a feature that you're getting particularly on this particular device. So probably one thing to keep in mind. And the newer iPhones after this, but the 12 did not get that. So to kind of sum up this video, what I'll definitely tell you is I definitely would say that a phone like the iPhone 13 mini is a very good phone. I like the 13 mini a lot, and this would probably be the phone that I think is the safer option since it's a newer phone. It is a newer chipset, and it's going to be lasting longer than the iPhone 12. But it is a smaller size with a smaller battery, which the battery life isn't even that bad, but like it's a smaller phone. Some people may prefer that, some people may not. I think the 12 size is better, but I think I probably would want the 13 mini. I think now after that in this video, I think I prefer the camera setup, and I do actually like the better performance on the 13 mini, which is supposed to be better, and the longer lasting phone here. The 12 is a great phone too. I like the size of it, but I think the 13 mini might be the better one for the average person. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.